Hello, Trojans. Happy Friday. So we are starting a new kind of like mini unit. I don't know. It's something. I don't know. But regardless, we are going to be talking about something called square roots today. Now, you have in your brain this knowledge. I promise you, if you know your multiplication facts, especially if you know like the multiplication problems that are like times itself. So like 2 times 2, 4 times 4, 8 times 8, 10 times 10, 12 times 12, those things. But it all ties back to area of squares, all right? Hence the name square root. As you can tell, I'm doing this, I'm doing it during my prep, and I started a little early. But yes, during the square part, okay? So let's look at this example 1. I'm on page, it doesn't have a page number. I'm on like the first real page of your like packet of stuff, probably. It's lesson 1.3. You get the gist. So the area of the floor of a square booth is 36 feet squared. What is the length of side S of the booth? So you essentially have to think. So I know that something times something equals 36. What is that something, you ask? Well, I know 9 times 4 is 36. I know that. That can't be a square though, right? Because 9 times 4 would be a rectangle, lengths of 9 and 4. So let's try again. What about 2 times 18? That's 36. But again, 2 and 18, that would make a rectangle. No dice. Oh, what about 6 times 6? That would make a rectangle. So 6 times 6 is 36. Another way you could write that, though, is that 6 squared equals 36. The way to find out what the square root of 36 is, you use this symbol. So it kind of looks like a Nike swoosh, but like a check mark type thing, and then you just draw a line over it. Then you put the 36 in the box, so it looks like a division box with like a check mark attached. So the square root of 36 is equal to 6. Because you think the 36 is the area of a square. What times what gets you that area? 6 times 6 gets you that area of 36. So now you just have to rack your brain of all of those things. So let's do some practice. So we have the square root of 16. That's how you say the letter A. So now you think, well, what times what do I know that equals 16? 2 times 8 is 16, but that wouldn't make a square, right? Because that would be a rectangle, 2 side lengths of 2 and 8. But 4 times 4 is 16. So that means the square root of 16 is 4. So what if B, the square root of 25? Well, I know what times what equals 25. 5 times 5 is 25. That means the square root of 25 is 5. Sorry, hit my water bottle. C, the square root of 4. Well, I know 2 times 2 is 4. That's the same number. So the square root of 4 is 2. Go ahead and try D through I. Pause the video and try those. See if you can think of what the square root is. Okay, we're back. What times what equals 81? 9. 9 times 9. What times what equals 144? 12. That one you might not have known. For F, the square root of 49, what times what equals 49? 7 times 7 is 49. G, what times what equals 64? 8 times 8 is 64. So the square root of 64 is 8. The square root of 0, what times what equals 0? Technically, 0 times anything is 0. But the square root of 0 is 0, because 0 times 0 is also 0. The square root of 121, 11 times 11 is 121. So the square root of 121 is 11. Okay, sorry. So now J, we have the square root of, we have 8 squared, but the square root of 8 squared. That's how you would say it, the square root of 8 squared. Now, something cool about square roots and squares. Let's go back up to the top. How I said that 6 squared, sorry, I don't want blue. 6 squared equals 36. If I took the square root of both of these, I don't want red. Change it up. The square root of 36 is 6, which means the square root of 6 squared also then has to be 6. So essentially what that seems to me meaning is that if I have this square root symbol and a squared within like the same problem or expression or term or whatever you want to call that, they cancel each other out because they are inverses. They undo each other. So the square root of 8 squared would be 8, but we could also think of it as, well, that's like the square root of what's 8 squared? That's 8 times 8, that's 64. What's the square root of 64? 8. We did it directly above it, right? Like it was right there. So K, the square root of 27 squared, would literally be 27. And then I, the square root of 36 squared, would be 36. It would not be 6, it would be 36. All right, describe the relationship between a perfect square and its square roots. A perfect square is like the area, and the square root finds, or the area of a square, I should say. And the square root finds the side length. And then we could even add squaring and square roots are inverses. Okay, feel free to pause the video if you need more time on that. All right, moving on to just the next page over. We need to now place these irrational numbers on the number line below. We haven't actually talked about what an irrational number is yet, but, my bad. Sorry about that. But what we're going to do, we are going to, on our number line, we're going to place perfect squares and we're going to place numbers and their square root equivalencies, okay, underneath them. So I know that I have, I'm going to do the square root of 9, or actually, let me write, is 3. I'm going to skip 1. The square root of 16 is 4. Skip 1. The square root of 25 is 5. Skip 1. The square root of 36 is 6. Now, I'm going to think about where I should place these values. So the square root of 15, that goes really close to the square root of 16, right? Because the square root of 9 is here. The square root of 16 is here. So the square root of 15 just has to be a little bit further. So there's where I would put it. The square root of 23, again, I'm noticing the square root of 25 is right here because that's 5. So the square root of 23 will just be a little bit before that again. And I'm not going for specifics here, guys. Okay, I'm just estimating here. The square root of 20, that's going to be about halfway, right? Because 16 is 4 away from 20. And 25 is 5 away. So it might be a little bit before the halfway mark would be the square root of 20. Then the square root of 27 would be a little after the square root of 25. Okay. I just am seeing. I'm going to skip 2 for a second. I want to do 3. So 3, we're dealing with some negatives. Doesn't change the fact, though. So I'm going to go, kind of backwards. So I'm going to stick 0 right here, which is the square root of 0. Skip 1. Then I have -1, which is the negative square root of 1. It's important that you put the negative sign outside the square root symbol, or also known as the radical. Skip 1, the -2, which is the negative square root of 4. Skip 1, -3, which is the negative square root of -9. Skip 1, -4, which is the negative square root of 16. All right, so let's try again. Let's try and plot some of these. So negative square root of 2. So I'm thinking it has to be between the -1 and -2, right? Because negative square root of 1, negative square root of 4. It's definitely got to be closer to the negative square root of 1, though, right? Because it's closer. 2 is closer to 1. So I'm going to go right there. Oh, I don't want a different color. So we're not a gazillion different colors. Okay, yeah, like right there. All right, and then the negative square root of 8. That's going to be like really close to the negative square root of 9. Oh, I found a typo. I'm sorry, guys. I wrote something wrong. If you had caught it and we were in class, you would have gotten a Jolly Rancher. I apologize. Okay, and the negative square root of 8 would be like between the negative square root of 4 and the negative square root of 9, but pretty close to this negative square root of 9, so like right there. All right, so now we have the negative square root of 5, which is going to be a little bit after the negative square root of negative 4, yeah. Words are hard today, guys. All right, and then the negative square root of 13. So now we have to think. That's like 3 away from over here, and that's 4 away from over here. So it's going to be a little closer to the negative square root of 16, so maybe like right there. Okay, I meant to keep changing colors. I'm sorry I didn't. I meant to, I promise. All right, last one. I'm going to set up the number line for you, but then I really want you to like try. All right, so I'm going to start at 6, which is the square root of 36. Skip 1, 7, the square root of 49. Skip 1, 8, the square root of 64. Skip 1, 9, square root of 81. So go ahead and pause the video and try and place these 4 irrational numbers, which we'll talk about on Monday, on this number line. Okay, we're back. So the square root of 57. That's definitely going to be closer to the square root of 64. It's like what, 7 away, as opposed to like 8 away in the square root of 49. So yeah, so I'm going to put it like right there. Oh, not 4. Not 4. My bad. Okay, then the square root of 66, that's going to be a little bit bigger than the square root of 64. The square root of 48, that's got to be a little bit smaller than the square root of 49. All right, and the square root of 77, that would be a little smaller than the square root of 81. It's like maybe there. I don't know. We're estimating here. And there you go. Your daily practice today, guys, is going to be a quizzes. You are going to take a picture of these 2 pages to show that, like, you watched the video. And maybe I would, like, put, like, a squiggle, like a swirly, so we know you watched it. I don't know. It'd be fun. You know, add some joy into your life. Whatever. So, your daily practice is going to be, so here it is. R&I, that stands for rational and irrational. Lesson 1.3 daily practice quizzes. There's a quizzes, so here's my code. If you're not in my class, please don't use my code. And the link, your goal is to get 17 correct, but your grade is not going to be your score, though. So if you get 17 correct, that is going to get you an 85% on this assignment. But yeah, so try your best, upload a screenshot of your score, and I'm also going to add, I think I'm going to actually make this out of 30 instead of 20, so you also get 10 points for submitting a picture of your journal as well. So let me know if you have any questions, or I mean, me if I'm your teacher if you have if that's your teacher. Have a great day, guys. Sorry for my spazzy video. Have a great day.